Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining. This is the Oracle Autonomous Database Learning Lounge. I'm Marcos Senasivia, part of the product management team for Autonomous Database. And today we have a very exciting session on basically the data engineer, right? So he's really the superhero behind GenAI, right? Javier de la Torre, he's an autonomous database specialist, and he's joining us to talk about, really because AI is really what everyone is working on today, right? But how actually, the data engineer has to work with the data, right, behind the scenes and make it all possible, right? So he's going to be talking about, how AI basically used for analytics and how AI is helping, the data engineer ingest the data and work with the data, right? And he's going to be showing you guys the Autonomous Database Data Studio as well, right? So throughout the session, we're going to have open Q&A. If at any point you guys have questions, please type them in the Q&A in Zoom, okay? And we're going to distribute some links in chat to you guys, all right? So these are some links, some important links about Autonomous Database. I'm just pushing them right now to chat, so you guys should have them. And basically, these are taking you guys to, the Get Started page, the LinkedIn and the Twitter and X group, right, that we have there, but also allowing you to ask your questions in Stack Overflow or even in Slack, right? So we have a workspace in Slack. That's the Oracle Developers Slack workspace that you guys can join. So if you check this QR code or the link up top and search for Oracle Autonomous Database, there's a channel there where you can ask your questions and learn more about some events as well. All right. All right. And then thank you very much for joining us today, Javier. Really appreciate it. So I will stop sharing my screen and I will let you start sharing your screen, and please take it away.
Thank you, Marcos, for the introduction. Let me share the screen. So let's talk about how to be a data engineer with Autonomous Database, because Autonomous Database provide a great tooling for doing a lot of tasks, and we're going to cover it through a lot of demos today. But now something that's becoming very popular is the generative AI, and some role that can use these new features that is coming now into the cloud is the data engineer. So that's why I want to show you how to take advantage in your day-by-day job to use generative AI in your data engineer. But before starting with demos, I want to give you a very short presentation just to put the background. So first of all, let's discuss what is exactly the data engineer lifecycle. So as you know, so first of all, nowadays we have to work with a lot of data types. As you know, we're working with JSON, CSV, Parquet, Apache Iceberg. So we have a lot of data that even can be spread in different data sources, because maybe I want to connect from a Salesforce, maybe I want to connect from a big data, and I need to connect, ingest all this data. Once I have it, I need to transform it, to clean it, and then to serve to my internal customers. My internal customers could be, for example, the analytics team or the machine learning teams. As you can see, there is a lot of complexity under here, because I need to know about a lot of things to make it easy, the integration, and try to be the most efficient as possible. So before going into that, I want to give you an introduction on something that for me, this is very, very important also for any kind of data engineer, which is the data architecture. So I need to have a proper architecture in order to support all the strategy of my data that I'm going to have in top. Because with a proper data architecture, the data that I have is not going to be useful. Everything is going to be more complex. The analytics, the machine learning teams, and so on, they are not going to have the right data. So first of all, we are looking for simplicity. So we need something to make it very easy to manage any kind of data type, to have a scalability. And this is something very important for me as a data engineer. So that's why one of the great benefits of the Autonomous Database, it is the converge. When we talk about converge, it means that Oracle is able to support any kind of data type. I can work with JSON, I can work with GeoJSON, I can work with spatial data, I can create blockchain tables, I can work with Parquet, CSV, and so on. So this is a great advantage, because normally the issue that we see when we're working as a data engineer is that I have a lot of specialized databases that are good for their purpose, but I spend a lot of time doing ETLs. Why I need to convert the CSV to JSON or the JSON to the CSV, for example, if I'm able to handle all together? So I'm able to join and to make it simple. So for me as a data engineer, it's going to save a lot of time for doing this transformation and analysis. So that's why the converge is very important for me. So I'm considering that the Autonomous Data Warehouse is a fully managed service that we will see that I'm able to do machine learning, analytics, data cleaning. So we're going to see all these features during the demo. That's why that many customers decide to use the Autonomous Data Warehouse as a proper Lakehouse architecture. Because when we talk about the Lakehouse architecture, for me, it means that I can process any kind of data type, and it doesn't matter where it resides. So if you start small, many customers with the Autonomous Data Warehouse is more than enough. But then another customer says, okay, but I want to implement it or complement with, for example, with a Spark cluster, or we need a data catalog because I have different data sources. So in this case, if you're using the Oracle Cloud, you can integrate it with all the capabilities in a very native way. The next question is, okay, but maybe I don't have all the data in the Oracle Cloud. Maybe I have data in different clouds, in different services, and I want to integrate all this data in a very efficient way. So that's why the Autonomous Data Warehouse is thought in a multi-cloud and in an open way. So for example, I can connect to any kind of object storage. Doesn't matter if it is S3 from AWS, doesn't matter if it's from Azure, from Google Cloud, from object storage, I can connect. And when I say I can connect, it means that I can or load the data directly, or maybe I can create external tables so the data can reside there. And the good thing is that it doesn't matter the data type which is living there, because I'm able to connect, read, and load, or do analysis of all this kind of data. But as I said, there are many different data sources that I need to connect. So for example, I can take advantage of the capability of the direct query access, in which I can connect to different databases, for example, SQL servers, Postgres, Salesforce. I can query directly this data directly from the Autonomous database. So that means that the Autonomous Data Warehouse will become a unique source of truth. I can connect from different places, and the end user, for example, the BI user or the machine learning user, doesn't know where the data is, but I know that I can get the value very fast from my data. On top of that, sometimes I need to do some cleaning of the data. So that's why Autonomous Database provides a tool which is called Data Transforms that we'll see in the demo, in which I can load the data from different applications. For example, Google Analytics, Sage, GitHub, Salesforce, doesn't matter. I can connect, load, and ingest directly into the Autonomous Database, which makes it very open. So, but we have been talking about the capabilities, but I need a great graphical interface to support all these capabilities. And that's why we have a graphical interface, which is called Database Actions, that is going to support all the capabilities that I showed you before. As for example, I can create REST services with a click. I can do a drag and drop ELT. I can use a data catalog. I will show you in the demo. But the great thing is that everything is used with a great graphical interface. And the good thing about the graphical interface, as you can see here, this is very self-explanatory. You can see that we have categories, as for example, development, data studio for data engineers, or for the data analyst that will go for them, is that I have a wizard, like a nest step. So for example, where I can load data, I can create an ELT job, I can do many things, but I will prefer to show you in the demo live. But this is great, but how generative AI can help me in all this process? And in case you're not aware, we have a great capability, a great feature, which is called Select AI. So we can use natural language to query our own Autonomous database. And the good thing is that this is very well integrated inside of the Autonomous database in different layers, as I will show you later on. But also, one of the great capabilities is, as it is using SQL underneath, I can create a smart application for my machine learning engineers or for my data analysts, so they can use these LLMs directly in their applications. So I will show you that. So as you can see, we can use natural language to query directly the data. So this has been a bit of the summary, but now let's step into the demo. And for that, I want to show you an overview of what is expected in the demo. So first, we're going to assume that we are in the movie stream industry, as for example, as Netflix and so on. And I want to understand and help my internal customers that are the analytics team and the machine learning team. But the issue that I have is that I'm a new joiner. I don't have a proper knowledge about how the data is, how the data looks like, and I want to speed up as much as possible. So that's why I'm going to use the generative AI to speed up the process for all the tasks that the team have asked me. So the first ask is from the analytics team. I want to create easy dashboard to understand my customers. What are their preferences? Who are them? I need to get that. And also from the machine learning, they want to consolidate all the data to categorize the data based on the sales that are coming, based on the subscription and preferences and so on. So let's jump into the demo. You will see here that we have the different steps that we're going to see in the ingest, transform, and serve, which are the three main categories or the data engineer will perform with the autonomous database. So let's jump into the demo. So here, as you can see, I have already an autonomous database that I have called the data engineer movie stream. So it's my autonomous data warehouse in which I can perform all the tasks that I show you. So all the data from my company resides here. From here, from database actions, you will see I have a menu, a pop-up where I can go directly to like a shortcut to the different tasks that I show you. But in case that, for example, you want to share with a third party, for example, you can use here the tool configuration and you can share the link that is here. For example, database actions. Let's use that specific link. Because I'm new, and they share a specific user password for me. It's called the movie stream. And the first thing that we need to do is to load data. So I know that I have access to a specific object storage, and I need to load data. So let's have a look into it. So this is the graphical interface, and you can see the different categories, for example, for development, for example, for data modeler, that will be helpful to me to understand the data. I can create charts. I can have the data pipelines with scheduling jobs. I can do many things. I'm afraid that I cannot show everything today, but here you have a great summary of the possibilities. But talking about data, I have the data studio, and something I want to do is to load data, which is here. You can see here from the load data, I can load data in different ways. So I can load data inside of the autonomous database. I can load data, well, this linked data means external data. So the data will live, for example, in the object storage S3 external. So it's just an external table. Or I can ingest data in real time using the feed data. So in this case, I want to load the data, which is because I want to put it inside of the autonomous database. As you can see here in this menu, I can choose from where I want to load data. And something I can use is, for example, here, the cloud store. Here you can see that already have an object storage. And for example, I have different data types. For example, a customer, which is a CSV. I think I have some Parquet files over here. So I can choose to load any kind of, or JSON, any data that I have here. So for example, the data is already loaded to save time because I want to show you many great features today. But just with a drag and drop, I can start preparing the data for being loaded. So something that is doing, you see, is analyzing the data because it's preparing the metadata. It's going to help me, the wizard, to load the data. But I have a review. I don't know what exactly is the review, but something that I check here is that the Oracle Autonomous Database is checking that it's sensitive information, for example, an email. So it's something that I have to be really aware of. So this is something that Autonomous Database can do. And I can create the table, select the table name, and just change the data type based on how the data looks like, and so on. Once that I'm happy, I can just click on Start, and the data will be automatically loaded. So loading data is very easy, and you don't need any kind of knowledge. If you want to load, as I said, from different cloud providers, you can create here a credentials. For example, I want to connect to Microsoft Azure, S3, Google. Very easy. Just drag and drop. Also, talking about generative AI, you can see here that I have AI source. So sometimes it's very common that I need to prepare some fake data. I want to see how the data will look like in a production system. So I can use the generative AI to generate fake data based on the input that I have here. For example, I here have some examples already provided by Oracle. And I want to say, for example, I want to see the top 10 countries in Europe by GDP. And you can see here that I'm getting the result in real time. And then once I have it, I can create a specific table and load it inside of my Autonomous database, which is great. So this is the first step of generative AI. Why not generate fake data if I need it, which is really great. So now I have the data, and now I need to understand the data. I could go, for example, for data modeler, but something I can do is I can go to the SQL part. So here I can see I have different tables that is already loaded. So I said, I'm new. I don't really understand how the data looks like, although the name is very intuitive, no? But you can see that, for example, here I have like a plug. So basically it means that I can create a REST endpoint with a table. We will see it later, but I can create a REST endpoint. But why not using generative AI to understand my data? So in this case, I can use select AI in a SQL statement. And for example, I have created just before the demo, I have created a profile to define which LLM I want to work with, because you know that every day there is a new LLM. In this case, just to show you that Autonomous database is open, we can work with OpenAI. We will show later on how to work, for example, with Cohere from the Oracle Cloud. But something that I'm interested in is to know what are my 3 customer segments. And in this case, I want to narrate. So I want the Autonomous database to talk to me and tell me exactly what are these 3 customer segments. Sorry, I didn't select. So here, so you can see I have here a description that says, okay, this is my 3 top segments. Now, for example, I want to know, sorry, because I moved the screen. I want to know, for example, how many customers I have per customer segment. But I want to be sure what is the LLM generating underneath. No? So in this case, I'm going to say show SQL. I want to know what is going underneath. So I generate the SQL query, which is here, which is great. You always have to be sure that the LLMs can do mistake. So let's run the query to be sure that this works. Okay. Okay, have an understanding. I see the customers are divided in different categories, more or less the same numbers. Okay, I have a good understanding. Now let's do another query, for example. For example, I want to know how many genre movies I have per customer segment. Because these are the questions that I receive from the analytics team and the machine learning team. So I need to understand how the data is to solve the problem from my internal customers. And something that I see here is that it's solving the question, but I'm checking a lot of join. Now I realize why they are asking for a data engineer, because there's a lot of tables, they need to do a join, they need to clean the data. So I can see that there is a lot of tables that need to be integrated, right? And let's go, for example, to the last question that I have. In this case, I want to see which is the favorite per customer segment, the top one. So again, I said show SQL, and I realized that, well, the SQL is becoming complex. So it's great that I have this tool for building this SQL, but if I want to share this data with the BI team, I want to make it easier. And we're going to jump into that. So we have seen the ingestion, how to understand data with generative AI. Now we go to the second block, which is how to transform the data. And for that, here in our tools, we have the data transforms. Let me open it in a new tab. Okay, and you can see here something that I can do just to show you is I can create a connection from different data sources. As you can see here, maybe I want to connect with different databases. I want to connect with different applications, Google Analytics, data stacks, WordPress. There is more than 100 connectors. So this is very helpful for me as a data engineer to start working it. So here I have a specific project, which is for the machine learning. Because if you remember, the machine learning team asked us to have the data base categorized based on the sales. Okay, they give me some homework in advance. So that's why I have created here a specific data flow using all the tables that I had before. Because as you show, something that one let's say, problem that I have is that I have a lot of joins. So I don't want to solve or to do so many joins so frequently. And also, I want to do this kind of categorization for the machine learning. So here you can see I have my schema with all the tables. And the good thing is that I can do here drag and drop to do all the kind of the tables. I can see all the information here. So it's very easy for me. So you can see I'm doing all the joining between all the different tables. But something that also I have been doing, preparing the data for the machine learning team, is doing the quantile binding. Because I want to create a specific buckets based on the sales. So if we go here, for example, in information, I have 5 specific buckets, and I want to aggregate them based on the total sales that they are doing. So with this information, you can see that I want to store the result in a specific table because I want to share it with the machine learning team. So I call it the customer sales analysis. So once I have done this drag and drop ETL, you can see here that I can do many things. I have data transforms, data preparation for data cleaning. I want to do machine learning, text, spatial. So there is a great capabilities here. So once I'm happy with the ETL, ELT, in this case I want to do, I can click play, and I will see that the job is running successfully. So my job is done. So now that I have this data, also I want to prepare the data for the BI team. And for the BI team, they like to work in this kind of cube or OLAP capabilities to make the queries simpler. So that's why in the database actions, we have a specific tool which is called the data analysis. So the data analysis is going to help me to create this kind of cube in order to share this information with the BI team. So in this case, I have already analytical views created. Let's have a look into it. And this, let me edit. And the great thing is that this tool, this wizard, is going to save me a lot of time when creating this analytical view. And why? Because if I show the code that is generating underneath, creating analytical views can be complex and more with, it's not my day-by-day job because I'm not so fluent in this characteristic. So data analysis is going to help me on these tasks. So it's going to be very simple because what I have is I have my specific fact table, which is the table that I just created before with the customer sales analysis. And then I can add different data sources in case if this requires. I can join different tables. In this case, it's just one to make it simple. And also, I have created different hierarchies. These hierarchies are different columns that I have in my table. So for example, I want to understand my customers based on the pet or in the device they connect or the age group. Or the cost value are the buckets that were generated by the ELT, the data transforms. So these are the columns or the parameters that the BI team is looking for. And they want to compare them with the total sales, for example, because I want to create this kind of dashboards. So something that I can do is I can export, for example, check, for example, data quality, do some analysis here. But if I want to export, for example, I can export this view to make the query simpler to Tableau or Power BI. For example, if you're using Oracle Analytics, automatically is smart enough to embed this metadata. But as you can see here that I have already some dashboards. And this dashboard, as you can see, based with the SQL query that I had before, now it's much simpler. So for example, I want to understand how the data is based on the gender and the marital status. So I can see, for example, how the data is distributed. Okay, and I can do, for example, the filter based on these characteristics. Even I can use natural language, the generative AI, to query the data in case automatically it's going to generate the SQLs that you can see automatically here. So I can use even generative AI for these purposes. But in this case, for me, it's enough to share it to the BI team because I think it's smart enough. So as you can see, I can create different dashboards so they can use it and drag and drop. And for example, I don't know, I want to do it by marital status. Automatically, we're going to see the result. And on top of that, I want to add the age group. Okay, sorry, it's already there. It's, for example, the device. So you can see it's just drag and drop. I can start doing this analysis in a very easy, in a very easy way. So now we have the data. So for the machine learning, we have the data prepared for the BI. Now let's see how can I share the data for the different teams. So as I shared, I have different ways of doing and sharing the data. One is I can create the REST endpoint. As I showed you, for example, I have this specific table or the customer size analysis. I want to create a REST service, for example, for a mobile application that I'm creating for the sales department, something like that. With a right click, I can click REST and enable the REST endpoint. And with this information, automatically, I can enable this REST endpoint. You see, it's very quickly. And even if I want to query, I can just see how the data looks like by querying this specific URL. So this is very powerful. But what for example, if I want to share with this data with a third party, okay? Or for example, I want to share this data with a big data clusters on the other way around. So for that, the autonomous database supports the data share. So the data share underneath is working for the data sharing protocol. So we are fully open with the open source protocol. So that means that anybody or any open source library that is working for this protocol, we can share and consume that specific information. So for example, let's assume that I want to share this shared data. Let's say, for example, I have the data, the machine learning engineers, they are using Python, and they have a specific GPU cluster, and they want to work with this data. But I don't want to move the data. So I want to share the data with them. And that's why we can use this protocol, for example, with them. They feel more comfortable with Python. And this is very easy. I can click on Provide Share. And you can see that it's already here. But if you want to create a new share, basically you say, for example, data for machine learning for GPU, just to give a specific name. I can, for example, select if I want to share a specific version and enable scheduling or share the live data. So the machine learning engineers always will have the fresh data. But also, basically, I select where the data is going to be resides in the object storage. And then I select the tables that they want to share. For example, in this case, they want to share the customer sales analysis. When I have it, I click Next. I select the recipient with who I want to share the data, and automatically I can do it. And with that, I can see here the recipients. I can, for example, download the specific token. Okay, I'll send an email for this specific token. So I can, with this token, the machine learning engineers will be able to consume that specific data. Very easy. But now talking about generative AI in the way of serving data, something that I show you is that I can consume and I can get insights very quickly. And why not give these insights, this power, for example, to the BI team or the machine learning team? So as you show, I was doing it via SQL. But something that I can do is I can create a chat application to work with my data. So in this case, I have used the Oracle Application Express to create a chat application. And here, I can do the same question that I do before. So for example, I want to query which is the favorite genre that I have for customer segment. And I want to ask to my database, for example. And automatically, we're going to get the result, the top one. And even we can see which is the SQL that is generating underneath, which is the complex, because I haven't told the LLM to use the analytical views, but you can do it. And even you hear an explanation. So this is very powerful, because also any user can start doing discovery, doing this kind of question to understand how the data is working. So it's a great way of serving data. But when we're talking about serving data, why not creating something more advanced? Because, for example, you know that you have to sometimes, in order to get a proper or an advanced response, you need to provide a lot of information of what you are chatting. So that's why not take advantage of the Apex application that is available inside the autonomous database and create a specific application in which I can create advanced queries to my LLMs. So for example, let's assume that I want to create a pizza recommendation based on the movie. I get to get more insight to create a smarter application, and also, for example, to send an email and these kind of things. I will not use, for example, the generative AI to write the email and so on. No? So something that you can see here is that I can get more insights. No? I can prepare which is going to be the input for the LLM. So for example, I have a category which is called a pizza recommendation, and these are the tasks that I'm going to give to the LLM. But in order to make it smarter, I want to give information based on SQL queries because I want to understand how the data looks like. So I can combine the data that I have to create smart applications. So in this case, for example, you can see that I have a lot of profiles. And when I click generate prompt, so this is an application which is custom made by Marty Gubar, which is really, really great. So you can see here that already is preparing this prompt for me. And based on this prompt, I can generate a response. So this is another way of serving data in a smart way. Because it could be for the machine learning, for the marketing department. The marketing department want to create better insights. So why not using LLMs for these departments? So you can see here that based on the information that we have, we can create this information. But we can go one step further. Why not use all the capabilities that we have from the autonomous database? I said, okay, I have information about my customers. I have information, I can build recommendations. Why not take advantage of the converged database? And when we talk about the converged, we were mentioning all the data types. Why not base on the location or in the GeoJSON where they are based, on where I have, for example, the pizza? Why not create a recommendation about what is the closest place to ask for a pizza based on a specific marketing campaign? So this is very helpful for the marketing team. So that's why we have simulated a simple web page. Okay, which is called the Movie Stream AI to simulate this page. No? And for example, you can see here that based, for example, in the user that has login to our moving stream application. For example, let's assume that I'm this specific customer with this specific ID. So basically, the idea is to work with, to see what is happening underneath. And I want to use, for example, Cohere. And based on that, I want to give a recommendation based on the movies. And you can see that, for example, this application is already showing me what are my most recently or more popular movies that have been watching it. And also it's talking with the LLM and with the recommendation that I have to build which is going to be a great movie that I want to see. For example, I want to see Hook with a specific description. And on top of that, using the converge and the machine learning that I have inside the autonomous database, I can say, you are a good candidate for a pizza. And here you have the closest pizza shop that is based in your location. So you can go here and buy the pizza directly from here. So this is very, very powerful. So this is the end of the demo. I try to show a bit of everything just to do a bit of the recap. We have seen how to use generative AI in the different layers in a smart way. Since, for example, in the ingest or generating data using the select AI, and also to understand how the data looks like. Then from a transform, have used the existing tooling that I have that autonomous database provides to prepare the data and create this kind of analytical views, ETL, and so on, where you saw that also we have the possibility to create better dashboard using natural language. And the last part from the serve, not serve only from the way of sharing data, but how serve data in a smart way using generative AI. That could be, for example, as I said, a marketing department who wants to understand how the data could be and how to generate a specific marketing campaign. So I don't know if there is any question from the chat, something that could answer.
Thank you very much, Javier. It was really complete. Yeah. We had a lot of great questions, a lot of interaction, people wanting to know, how to do exactly what you're doing. What are the things that you have been, how to certify, right? How to become a data engineer certified to do these things, right? So, guys, I'm running the poll right now just to make sure that we we see how you feel after this great session. And I am well, we still have the Q&A open. So, Javier, if you see a question there that you want to answer, feel free. So, one question was. Is Select AI available only in ADB, whether they can use it on premise? I'll let Marty answer that, right, Marty?
Yes, it's available in ADB, both dedicated and serverless. And the long-term roadmap is to get it into on-prem as well, but it's not available yet.
Right. Thank you. All right. So,
I was just, Marcus, I was just answering. Should I just answer this one live too while I'm
sure.
unmuted? So the one thing you did, how did you assign specific LLMs? And so there's a concept called an AI profile in Select AI. An AI profile, you might have one that's pointing to OpenAI, maybe GPT-3.5. Another could be pointing at OpenAI GPT-4. And another might be OCI GenAI Cohere command, right? So you have different AI profiles. And then Javier was basically selecting which one he wanted to use, right? When doing his tests, right? So you can pick any of the profiles that you've defined. So that's kind of how that works. It's very I guess the mission is it's pluggable. You use the right LLM that's appropriate for your use case.
Correct. And then that's probably answering another question that there is about instead of using a proprietary LLM, whether there's a way to import open source LLMs in ADB.
Yeah. So right now we support this. This comes up a lot. These are questions that we hear. So today what we do is we support models in OpenAI, Cohere, Azure OpenAI, and OCI Generative AI. And again, OCI Generative AI has Cohere models, Llama 2 chat models. But those are the services that we support. And yeah, I mean, this is something that comes up a lot in terms of opening it up even more. And so that's something that we need to definitely look at.
Right, and sorry to keep you still here, Marty. There are someone asking about the availability on ExaCC. I imagine it's.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure when it's going to land in ExaCC. Like I said, it is available in Autonomous Database Dedicated, but I'm not sure the timelines yet for ExaCC. But it will land there, I expect.
Okay, maybe this one is for Javier. Does the search mechanism use OCR computer vision models for images?
The OCR, well, something that can be done. So we have a specific mechanism. For example, depending what is the image, no? For example, it's not the same an invoice that we can use the native services from OCI, for example, to understand there is an invoice, and then the result is going to be stored in JSON in the object storage. So in that way, you can already ingest the data and use that specific data. So depending what is an image for you, no? But there is always a possibility to take information about that image and maybe use it for a vector database in the or to use it for voice or something which is to text. So there are possibilities.
Right. Let's see. There are plenty of questions here. If they could use ODA, so the Oracle Digital Assistant, like you created an Apex app. Yes, I mean, for sure. The ODA has many capabilities there that would allow you to chat and talk to it and get smart, right, by things that you can fit it. So I'm pretty sure you can do a lot of those things. I've done it in the past, a few things with that. Yeah, I think the private LLM model was already answered by Marty. Someone asking about an Apex template. I think that's probably a question for our Apex guys, right? But yeah, I mean, you can probably create an Apex app where you're uploading text, right, and PDFs and then query them. Yeah, I think that's something that is probably possible. It's just not something I think we have done it, unless you have done it, Javier. But recording, yes, the recording is going to be available.
So in terms of the question about the text and PDF, so I think that's more of a RAG use case, right? And that is keep your eyes on this space for new capabilities that are coming, even in 19C. We plan to do some pretty nice enhancements in this area. And of course, there's the Oracle, there's been a lot of talk about 23C and, on the stage where they're showing RAG and being able to analyze different types of documents and whatnot with 23C and its vector support and vector search. So sorry, Marcus.
Excellent.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Thank you, Marty. And guys, I'm sharing again the links in chat. So some folks asking about recording. So the recording is going to be there, and you make sure to click on those. And when Marty says keep an eye on this space, he's talking about this space, right? So some of those links are gonna take you guys to the latest news on all of these ADB, everything about ADB, right? So some folks more interested on the OAC, some of the interfaces that OAC has to Oracle Document Understanding.
Yeah, there's a question too. The power of GenAI integrated with ADB is the fact that I can provide necessary data to the model easily. Is it not? And that's exactly right, because the model has no idea about your organization's data, right? It's trained on public data. So, that's the beauty of Select AI, is that it lets you blend like really easily. And I know there's a couple questions that were asked where I passed in pointers to blogs that show how to do this and different hands-on labs that step you through this. So a lot of what Javier went through, great job, Javier, is available through these workshops and blogs. So take a look at that. But that's what Select AI, that's its purpose, right? To let you leverage your database data and analyze that with generative AI, which is pretty awesome.
Excellent.
I thought I might just make a comment. We talked a lot about the generative AI. One of the things you can also do from the autonomous database, and I think Javier was using this, was you can call out to APIs. So for example, some of the input you might pass through and do some sentiment analysis just to feel how get an idea of how somebody's reacting, and that might guide you into how you want to respond. In the case of the recommendation engine, they might have some thoughts about previous movies they've watched. So it's just being aware that we've focused quite a lot of our discussion on the generative AI, which is really interesting and fun. But you can access those other kinds of services that can do sort of linguistic. You can make use of the linguistic analysis.
Okay, so Marty shared a blog there with you guys, and then
yeah. So that blog is basically highlighting what Alistair just said. So like how would you do this? And so there's like a blog post that kind of describes it, and then of course we have a workshop that you can use as well.
Right. And then Shiva was asking for us to share a link. So I'm putting the link to everyone on chat as well regarding OAC workshop. So if I saw a few questions about OAC, so that might help as well to clear some confusions for folks on that. All right. So again, thank you very much, Javier. This was great. Great session. Lots of great questions that we have. So guys, keep typing your questions. If you still have questions, please make sure to type them. I'll leave this channel open for for a few more minutes. I will, these are basically the links. So if you guys go back to, ADB Learning Lounge, like you see on the top here, you're going to see the links that we have for ADB. You're going to see upcoming events, and you're going to see the recordings, okay? So all of them are going to be there. So thank you for joining again the call. As I mentioned, I will leave this open for a few more minutes. Ram, I see you raising your hand, so you can, if you can type your question in Q&A, it'll be great. We'll still listening. And but in the meantime, again, thank you, Javier, for all the help, and Quentin and Alastair and Yasin and Marty for answering so many questions here. I will again leave you guys to some music, but I'm gonna still be here waiting to see if there are additional questions. All right. Okay, guys. So
Thank
again,
you.
Thank you
for joining.
Thank you very much, guys.